So the news is Hasbro is looking to sell Dungeons and Dragons to Tencent, which Tencent is a Chinese-owned company. Any company from China basically is tied to the CCP. Now, the main issue I've got with this is twofold. Dungeons and Dragons is the most iconic tabletop game of all time. Like it is an indisputable fact. I don't think it should go out of the Western world and be owned by China. I just don't. Call me controversial. I don't want that. Secondly, definitely don't want it owned by bloody Tencent because they produce garbage movies and shows and stuff. They're shit. So this is crap. But it really goes to show Hasbro in massive dire straits because they sold E1 recently, didn't they? Their sort of media development arm. They sold that and the IP rights that they had to a whole bunch of stuff. And now Hasbro's like, shit, we need to actually sell IPs. Like, this is huge. What a huge IP to sell.
It's very telling. It does show us that they're in dire financial straits. And 5 consecutive quarters of screwing up and not making money, 5 bad quarters in a row, this is where you end up.
Yeah. Very, very bad quarters in a row. I mean, it's gone down from... God, what did it go to? So it was up to $123, right? Share stock price, all the way down to $48.95.
Yeah.
That's bad.
It's terrible.
And Disney has not helped them out at all.
No.
During this time, they've contributed to this stock collapse because if you go look at all the Marvel stuff and Star Wars stuff at the stores, man, it's just taking up shelf space. Like nobody's buying the crap because they're putting out. I mean, Hasbro's a toy company. They're making stuff based on movie industry stuff, and the movie industry stuff sucks. So Hasbro's also going to pay the price for it.
It's real bad. Real bad. And FYI, guys, like, I know that, Hasbro, Dungeons and Dragons, they've got their own issues like Wizards of the Coast and things like that. I know, I get it. I understand. But I guess it's like, do I want the iconic IP of Dungeons and Dragons in the hands of essentially an arm of the CCP? No, I do not. And I don't think anyone should want that. Any of their games, technological sort of products that they put out in future, if they were to get it, you don't want to deal with that. You don't want to download those kind of things. I would imagine that it would be taking stuff, data mining from you, spyware type stuff. So not particularly great stuff. Not particularly great. And just again, like D&D as a property could be great. Now, I'm not going to say it staying in the Western market is going to make sure it does do great and is sort of the be all and end all. But it's a better. I'd just prefer to stay in the Western world than be buggered off to an arm of the CCP. Not good. Andre, you want to jump in on this?
Yeah, certainly. No, in principle, I agree completely. I would rather this stay in the Western world and not, as you say, with an arm of the CCP. The problem for the Western world right now is that we are going to hell in a handbasket, not because of anything we have done wrong, but rather what has been done to us. And all these corporations are a part of that. If you look at Dungeons and Dragons in particular, it, like so many other things, has suffered under terrible brand management. That's a real problem here. And it could have done better if it had proper brand management. In this sense, it doesn't really matter who owns it. The only good thing with it being in the West in this sense is that now we at least have the hope that we can have a proper brand manager in the future, right? Whereas if this thing goes under Tencent ownership, probably it's not going to go under Tencent directly. They'd place it under some kind of unit. If that unit were to give it a proper brand manager, it actually might do well, because that's the one good thing with Tencent. Because yeah, they put out horrible stuff, but you know why they put out horrible stuff? It's not them doing it directly. That is them being hands off and letting the divisions that are under them run themselves. And then it's actually the divisions under them that do this horrible job, right? And the beauty, and this is something I happen to know, that as long as of course this might change because of CCP, but as long as the company under them does okay and brings in the money to this to the Tencent bottom line that they can kick further back to the CCP, they're happy and they don't get involved. Even less so now, from what I've heard, because now China is struggling too. Tencent is also struggling. And they're smart enough to know that we need these divisions to make money for themselves so that they can keep us afloat. And that is something that results in an even more hands-off approach, unless they really screw up and they don't really know what to do with it. But it's not like you go to Tencent to be micromanaged. It's not like you go to Tencent and you instantly become CCP propaganda. That hasn't happened yet. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, but that's only if. That's only dependent on who they get to run it, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Exactly. But depending on if this were to happen, and if they were smart enough, and this is asking for a lot here, then if they assign a proper brand manager, then this thing can actually do better. Of course, if you had just given a proper brand manager 5-10 years ago, it wouldn't be here. But, so those
what they should do?
Thoughts. Yeah.
Give it to that guy that's running Conan that you've spoken to every now and then.
Yeah. No, he does amazing. You want to know something that's intriguing and fascinating at the same time? Because that's Fredrik Malmberg, and he's the guy who single-handedly has kept the entire Robert E. Howard estate together, not being scattered across all winds, maintained integrity, took it away from Marvel when they were going to mess up the comics. He took it away from Netflix when it was clear that they were going, when Netflix were doing it, until he took it away because he didn't like the outcome. And he's been fully backed by Funcom, who is the owner of the Conan estate now. Who owns Funcom? Tencent. This is how I happen to know that they actually do take a hands-off approach. If they're happy, there's no involvement whatsoever. As long as you pay the mafia money, you get what they want, and you're like, hey, we need to invest with this, we need some backing here, you got it. So it depends entirely on the brand managers. But this is the risk with Tencent and the CCP, because although that is good now, who the hell knows what happens a year from now, 10 years from now, 20 years down the line. This is the one unknown risk with Tencent. Beyond that, if you just look at now and past history, there is no immediate reason to worry about Tencent. In fact, the chances are that D&D probably could do better under Tencent ownership than under its current ownership in the short term.
That I agree with. Still don't like it being.
I don't like that thing either. That I also don't
China,
like.
but you know.
But Fredrik Malmberg is the perfect example of you need a proper brand manager. One solid brand manager can bring everything back from the brink.
That's fair enough. What were you going to say, Culture?
No, I can't possibly imagine D&D under Chinese thumbs.
Because you don't have to. Because the Chinese aren't going to rule it. If they buy it, they're going to buy the whole division, or they're going to place it under another division. For instance, you know what might happen if they were to do that? They might be like, hey, who do we have that does well? Oh, we have Funcom. They do really well with their Dune license. They also do amazing with Conan. How about we just give the D&D to them? And they're like, hey, Malmberg, you want this too? I mean, this is a very realistic scenario. Okay. I haven't spoken with them, and I'm just guessing here, but I'm just saying that That's a very realistic scenario if they were to pick up D&D in particular, that they just hand it to someone who has a track record in it right now. That is Fredrik Malmberg.
Yeah. Tom, you want to jump in on this, bud?
The sale of D&D has been foretold. Time has told us of this. It would happen. If you take franchises that are meant for boys and make them for girls, they will reject them. This is what happened to He-Man. The poor barbarian warrior was destroyed by feminism, as was the toy industry. So now, Hasbro must let go. Let go. Like multi-sided dice rolling in the wind of destiny. That's all I got.
Culture, what I need from you now,
Oh,
I need you to put this into an AI animator generator.
Okay.
And make a video to it so we can put it up on the second channel. Oh, good stuff, guys. Good stuff. Do appreciate it. That is, yeah, good times.